Hello and welcome to another edition of Drinking with Comics. I'm Sean. 2 seats to my left is Mike Wellman.
Hey.
Now 1 seat to my left, or 1 seat to Mike Wellman's right,
Or in the middle.
DJ Kirkbride.
Hello.
And out there, oh my God.
We have a live studio audience.
We got Dorsey in the house.
Woo!
Woo! Dorsey. What's Dorsey's website? Dorsey.com, right?
DorseyFife.com.
DorseyFife.com.
We've got Joe Baxter manning the technical side of things, the wizard,
I'm wearing Joe's beard. I'm starting it.
beard transplant, and then we have, as always, science officers Sarah and Aaron. So,
Hey.
all right, guys, let's drink and talk about comics. So, if I may be so bold, before
Yes.
we dig into Mr. Kirkbride's wonderful comics,
Oh, there you go.
we are drinking tonight. I was telling him before we started shooting, I've been wanting to talk about this beer for a while. This is Modern Times Brewery. They're in San Diego. Really good beer. I have not had this one, the Fortunate Islands, yet. I've had the other one I have in the cooler. I forget the name of it, but it's the Saison. Really, really good. The other thing I really like about this beer, so they're in San Diego. They have like a brew pub.
They
And
have 2 locations.
two locations. One of them has a giant wall of comic books.
What?
It's like the whole wall is just covered in comic book
And they're all
covers.
DJ Kirkbride comics, I heard.
All
too,
of them,
which is
every
weird.
one.
We gotta go there.
He has variations done by like Wesley Willis, who died like 10 years ago, but he did an Amelia Cole. It's a weird.
You mean the guy that used to hit himself in the head?
Rock over London, rock on Chicago. Greyhound is a way to really. Yeah, he's awesome. If you've never been headbutted by Wesley Willis, Wesley.
You know,
Never
you know what he's
will
talking
be.
about?
I know what he's talking about, but I've never been.
Oh,
I never received the headbutt.
How did he die? Not DJ.
I don't remember.
Wesley.
No,
Tied
DJ's
from
still
Modern
on. Oh my God.
Times.
So,
Yeah, drinking with
this is interesting. Would you like to read the can?
I can read the can, yeah. I read the can because I don't have the taste buds of Sean Baker.
Ah.
So it's like I can sound like I know what I'm talking. Does the word wheat on a can of craft beer make you assume it's some insipid macro beer analog? A tepid entry-level beer that's nice at best? Well, those would be incorrect assumptions in this case. Wildly, shamefully incorrect. Fortunate Islands is bursting with citrusy tropical hop aromatics because we dry hop the bejesus out of it with Citra and Amarillo hops. It tastes like wizards. That's good.
This is for you. Because I just said you were the wizard. In my head, I even had the harmonica line. I'm not pointing to the viewer at home. I'm sorry. I'm pointing to Joe Baxter. Joe, give him some kind of a thing in front of the camera to... No, not that. Oh, no, that's your hand. Okay, sorry. I thought we were going to have a Jim Morrison
I just had
moment.
a great idea, dude,
What?
for a beer can or a beer bottle. Like, because, you know, I mean, this is kind of a tongue-twisty sort of, what do they call it, description, right? What if beer cans had, like, drunk tests on them? Like an eye chart kind of thing, or what, you know, like...
That's pretty
some
good.
sort of... Even like a drinking game, like a video game, you know, like with your phone, that would be an expensive bottle. But I see that there's bottles of vodka that have light up stuff.
They
Yeah,
come
right.
in the form of a beer cozy, so you can keep it always.
Yeah.
And stick it
Oh,
in.
or you could, yeah. I was thinking in each individual can, but no, that's probably more practical.
I
a
sense
koozie
a
that-
marketing opportunity.
There's some good ideas.
That's genius. Let's
Very good
kickstart
idea.
that.
All right,
This is
some-
what we do with genius ideas.
Kickstart everything.
Stop.
So it's interesting. It's very good. I definitely get the tropical thing, but in a weird way, like where it kind of hits and then disappears immediately. It's interesting.
Tastes like
Well, you know
rape
what's
to me.
really weird
tastes
is
a
their
little-
whole like about us thing. They say that they're all about Island of Dr. Moreau style mashups.
Oh.
So their whole theme is very, you know, that's
Okay,
why
Modern
there's
Times. I love you.
Yeah, this is
I
great.
feel like just pounding this and everything else in the cooler, and then like,
I'm
I
trying
want to eat
the
that Dr.
Lowland
Pepper
one.
candy, dude. I really do.
okay.
Can I have one?
Did you have any more information about Modern Times that you wanted to give
To
us?
share?
Desperate measures.
Because it
Not
is good.
particularly, because that pretty much summed it up.
Okay, Island Dr. Moreau. I like it. I really like it.
However, if you're on the island of Dr. Moreau, you're on an unfortunate island. This is a fortunate island.
It depends on it. Maybe not.
Okay.
I'll just leave that to you.
Cool.
So, let's talk about Amelia Cole.
Oh, okay.
So, I just finished binge reading the first 3 trades of DJ. So, okay, DJ writes a series called, well,
I co-write.
you
Yeah.
well, I was going to go, you write
okay.
it with Adam P.
Yes,
Knave.
yes.
And the artist is Nick Brokenshire. letterer is Rachel Deering, and color assist by Ruiz Moreno, right?
Reese Moreno.
Reese Moreno, that's right. He
did-
even says on his Twitter, pronounce Reese.
Yeah, he tries to
That's
trick
right.
us with his name.
But it's a great book. It's published digitally as singles by Monkey Brain,
Yeah, Monkey Brain puts it out exclusively on Comixology.
and it's monthly.
Every 6 weeks or so.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool. That's cool.
We've been relatively steady though.
Okay. So then, and then IDW publishes the collections, the trades. Really, really good. I wrote my article for my comic column this week about it, and I mean, we're always tempted to make easy comparisons, like, oh, it's like this and this, and I mean, I understand that to some degree that always does a disservice to things, but at the same time, it's a good way to put people kind of in the right ballpark right off the bat. So I'm going to do it. Like, my 2-second pitch was like, it's Harry Potter meets Alan Moore and J.H. Williams III's Promethea, and it's. Well, tell us about it. I'll shut up and just tell us about the premise behind it.
Oh, it's Amelia Cole. I have my quick pitch usually like at a con. I'll say it's like Buffy meets Harry Potter, which people tend to go, oh, because everybody likes at least one of those.
Right.
Yeah,
Nobody
you
knows
know?
what Promethea is. So,
Right,
that's
no, I mean,
a much
Promethea
better
is
pitch.
amazing.
That was a
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I was like, wow, I hadn't heard. I hadn't
No,
thought
it's
of
like
that, but
super classy.
yeah.
But, yeah, Buffy meets Harry Potter. So yeah, Amelia's a young mage who is living between a world of science, which is our world, and a world of magic, and then she ends up getting trapped in this unknown world where science and magic are combined, and
It's like Thor, kind of.
it's actually
Meets
almost
Thor,
exactly
too.
like Thor. No,
Harry Potter meets
Thor.
Buffy meets Thor.
It's basically like anything you like meets something else you like.
There you go.
So you should
That's
probably
a
buy
good
it.
way to pitch it.
Everybody buy it.
Buy it.
Yeah.
It's great. You won't be sorry.
Thank you. But yeah, it's a lot of it. I mean, it's an all ages book, which is
Definitely.
it's definitely not a kid's book.
But it does not feel. Now, there's some people I think that would be like, oh, all ages. But it's not all ages like the way.
It's kind of
I-
inclusive, you mean?
It's
It's definitely
all-inclusive,
well,
all-inclusive,
and
yeah.
like when you get all ages stuff from like the big two now, I feel like there's a schism where we've talked about this before, where some of like the Avengers titles and whatnot, it's a little bit more mature, so the all ages stuff that DC or Marvel does is kind of very, very explicitly all ages and might alienate older people. This would not do that. Like, I'm pushing 40, and I didn't feel like I was lost or talked down to or couldn't relate or anything like that. It was very so anyway.
Yeah, well, we're all in our. Everybody who makes it. I think we're all pushing 40 or at 40. So we didn't set out to make a kids comic. We just wanted to make a comic that like kids and parents would like together.
Awesome.
Like like reading or watching Star Wars with our parents, or
Awesome.
yeah. She wanted something that everybody would like and that we like too. And because when I was growing up, I was growing up on like I don't know Burns' Superman or Claremont's X-Men, and those weren't expressly kids. And there's some weird stuff in those books actually. Now that I read them as an adult, but
they were as a retailer, I get really nervous when kids start looking at the new Batman comic.
right,
It's
but
like,
you
oh,
wouldn't like if it was like Alan Grant and Norman.
right,
Brayfogle
yeah. No,
or-
this is I
That's
would say the
awesome.
last 15, 20 years is this we have to start worrying about
right.
what level, and yeah, there's gauges. But yeah, go ahead.
No, that's what I just wanted to Amelia Cole to be a book that parents wouldn't have to worry about their kids reading, and their kids would like, but then the parents will like too. Just want everybody to love comics.
So she's trapped between science and magic?
Oh well, actually, so she ends up in this world where they're blended, and so that's the unknown world of Volume 1. Each volume's kind of like an Indiana Jones style title. It's like Amelia Cole in the Unknown World.
Amelia Cole and the Hidden War,
Yeah, and
right?
then Amelia Cole and the Enemy Unleashed.
Which was awesome. I read that and it was so like rapid fire. The whole book, it just was like whoa. Oh, it's over. Holy
It's kind of
shit.
nonstop. Yeah,
Yeah, it was cool.
We set it up. Now we're just like barreling through to issue
Yep.
30 and like some grand finale. But yeah, she like the world she's in now. It's kind of like magic and science are both awesome, but magic's a quicker road in a way. Like you can just like Expelliarmus and make something happen as opposed to like I have to think about it and figure it out. So in the unknown world, magic kind of keeps science down a little bit. There's like a class structure, and
Yes,
Amelia thinks
which
that's
is
BS.
fascinating.
Yeah, so it's like it's an all ages book, but also we're getting on our soapbox a little about equality and everything via magic and science. And there's a golem, and she has a magic pipe wrench, and dragons and action and adventure.
So what kind of response have you gotten to it so far?
Well, I think the people who like it really like it, and it's nice. And by going through Monkey Brain and digitally, I think we're able to do a lot more than we would have. I feel like if we'd been in print first, even though we missed the single issue printings, which I'd love to be able to go back and do. Like if I could go back in time, I would
Well,
try
maybe
to
down
do
the
that.
road, like once it gets that acceptance, like like Bone,
That would be
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
like that's something that as a comic, it was a black and white comic, but it wasn't a huge seller when it came out as a comic book series. But now people understand how awesome it is.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's Bone's one of my all-time favorites. But we've talked to IDW a little bit about doing single print issues, and we'll see if it happens.
Should do like one of those 100-penny press things at least.
That's what we would like to do, just
Yeah.
to kind of test the waters. But anyway, it's the people who like it really like it, and that makes me happy. And one of the best things is at cons, sometimes like a kid will come by with like she'll come by, a girl will come by with her, like there's one I think it was in Portland, a little girl came by with her dad on day 1 and bought volume 1. And then on day 2, she came back with her mom and was like, "Please, can I get volume 2?" I'm like, "Well, that's
awesome.
proof of concept." Like right there, she read it, she liked it, she wants the next
Came
one.
back for
That's
more. That's good
fantastic.
stuff.
Yeah, so it's not, and she was like really happy, and and the parents are happy that the kids are reading. So,
Well, what made you decide to? I mean, Amelia Cole, like you're a guy pushing 40, and you're writing a female protagonist who's young, and like what, and that you started that book at a time where, that was a bit of a risk. I would say.
It's interesting. We started a book before that book, kind of before it became the big conversation in comics. I think
When did it start?
it started actually it's it's July 2nd, 2012.
Okay.
Because Monkey Brain released all their books like 2 days early by surprise.
Oh.
Like there was a tension coming, and they're all going to come out on the 4th of July, and then that Monday, like, we're out now. Like, what?
Oh, wow.
So it's fun of digital too, in a way,
Right,
So it's
right.
like there are trade-offs, yeah. But as far as a female protagonist, like I was raised by my mom, and and my sister's awesome, and my grandma was amazing, and so there are a lot of great, I have a lot of great female role models, to be honest, and we like the idea of doing something a little different. As far as younger, it's just because I don't know, I can't do what Amelia does. I'm exhausted, sitting at a computer all day, let alone like running around fighting dragons and stuff. So we made it a little younger.
I'm doing a comic called Amelia Cougar.
Well, I'm hoping we could get past issue 30, maybe.
Cool. Yeah, like that.
You do like a thing like the Max, where it's just suddenly 10 years later, It's like, oh wait, what happened? Whoa.
Well, she does grow along with the book.
No,
which is
she
fun,
does. She
too.
definitely does.
Which is fun in independent comics. You can totally change the status quo at any time, and we really have.
It's so good. It just has oh man, it's such a the vibe is so, like, the Promethea comparison is definitely with the art, but also like just everything is so magical. It's and there's like a psychedelic element a little bit to the art. Not like that's, I feel like saying that almost does it a disservice, but I want to like add the disclaimer that not like what that probably makes you think of. It's just the flourishes to the magic components. It's like
Flourishes.
how do you draw magic, right?
Right.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, well, but you guys do such a great job, and she's got this. I love these. She's got these bouncy teleport balls. So like, it's like a bouncy ball, but it'll like ricochet and then open a teleportation disc, and it's just really good. And the Golem Lemmy is just fantastic. And when you find out where the name comes from, it's like, oh, that's so awesome.
Is it from Motorhead?
No,
It's not. Well, it might have been for us, but not for Amelia.
Not for Amelia.
Yeah. There is an origin, and the bouncy balls are really like there's another character named Hector who is the Protector. Hector the Protector. We know him as the Protector, and then we find out his name's Hector.
Yeah,
later,
there's
and
a moment
makes
she's
fun
like,
of him.
"You're kidding, Hector the Protector."
Like during a great battle, she makes fun of his name. But
Have you introduced Chester yet?
Oh, that's spoilers. Volume 5. But
Oh.
But yeah, the teleport balls. She made him bounce just because it's more fun. Like she's that type of character.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well,
it's
that's
like,
exactly
it's
it. There
better
is
than
that.
bounce.
There still is like a certain amount of wonderment or fun to her character, and it's cool.
Well, thank you so much. No, we love doing it. And I was gonna say another thing I always like to point out about Amelia is she doesn't have like a tragic origin. She's not fighting for vengeance. She's not angry.
Are her
She's just
parents
like,
alive?
No, they're not. But she's not dwelling on it.
Yeah, she was raised
Well,
by her
nobody's
aunt, so-
parents are alive. If you think about it, whose parents are alive in comics?
On comics, I was gonna say mine are.
Oh, no,
comics.
you're.
Yeah, mine are too.
Yeah,
That's
but
why you're not a superhero yet.
that's no. But no, I mean, actually, the raised by the ant thing. I don't even know why we did that. To be honest, there's like a little mystery that we completely solved immediately with her parents. But yeah, we just wanted a character that wasn't grim and gritty. Like when even like Superman's angry now.
Yeah, right.
We're like,
Yeah,
we need a
Superman sucks
character who is just like, I want to help because I can help.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, she's so like, her motivations for being heroic are probably the best motivations of any heroic character. Like, there is always. I'm thinking of like reading the forward to, he's got DJ has another book that also is with Adam P. Knave called Never Ending. And that is kind of this, I'd never heard the term
Oddly,
before.
it's the shortest book he's written.
The title's a lie. It's only 3 issues.
Yeah, right. In the forward to that, they, I forget who does the forward, but they talk about the pre-construction.
That's Chris Robertson, publisher of Monkey Brain and
so
Edison Rex, iZombie. He's awesome.
Oh yeah. He's like the creator of iZombie, right?
Yeah, he and Michael Allred.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
created
right.
it,
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, you gotta read. I should have got iZombie's awesome.
Is it?
Have you
I
guys
know
read
Rob
iZombie?
Thomas is doing.
Show's good. The show's really fun. Totally different than the comic, but both awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so far.
How's the writing for the show?
I think it's really fun. It's kind of like basically like it's got a very Veronica Mars vibe, but she happens to be a zombie, and so it's really cool. I mean, as far as I've only seen the pilot, and I was so impressed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big Veronica Mars. Veronica Mars season 1 is like there's Twin Peaks, Breaking Bad, and Veronica Mars season 1 in my upper echelon. I mean, I didn't think that would happen that way, but that first season is so freaking tight, so well done.
Well, you gotta watch iZombie.
All right.
Was this a Monkey Brain book too? Or?
No, Never Ending was a Dark Horse.
Okay.
But okay, so in that, we went talk about the idea that. How did we get here?
Oh,
dark
right.
and gritty.
Modern
Yeah.
The mind is the first thing that goes when you get older, birthday boy.
You're talking about Robertson's intro, right?
Yeah, but there was like a
Pre-construction.
specific. It doesn't matter. So at any rate, so let's
It's a great
switch to Never Ending then.
Oh, okay. So yeah, who's here?
Somebody left. Somebody's spirit walked out.
Somebody just
I didn't
walked
see a
out of
body
this.
walk out.
Like, oh god.
Yeah. Never Ending is interesting because it is. I don't want to do anything like a spoiler. I mean, there's not a lot to spoil. It's not like there's like a big twist or something, but I just think that it's worth reading, and it's one of those things where it's. Some things are worth reading because it's good, but then the ending is like, oh, that's the hook. There's not really a hook. It's just like a really good, well-composed 6-minute song, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, no, thank you.
Every part is equal to each other, and it all adds up to the. It's a formula that equals the finale. This is really maybe getting obscure, but so it is. I'd never heard the pre-construction thing where it's like Chris Robinson was saying. In the intro, the prologue, not the prologue.
The intro. Yeah, he wrote us a really nice intro. He's way smarter than me. So let's see what did he do?
There's the deconstructionist angle, and then there's kind of the I forget what the other angle is, but then now there's like this pre-constructionist thing where it's like basically you're concerned with what comes after. So, Never Ending is very much about. It's very much about. Okay, here's this life that this person who is a superhero has lived, and he has his arch nemesis, and it's a little bit more complicated, and maybe even tongue-in-cheek than that sounds. And then, so where does that go? Like, if Superman is always going to be having a series, right? So you're never going to know where that goes. Where does that end? Well, you can do things like Superman the End or whatever, but it's still the book still goes on. So is that the end? This is like this is like we're saying this is the twilight kind of this superhero, and it's fascinating. It really I loved it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's about immortality too. It's basically like and I guess maybe part of it's his origin doesn't really matter. Like it's like he gets the powers not as a hero. Let's move on.
Yeah, it's kind of like we get origins out of the way. Let's go with it.
Yeah,
exactly.
We can make up anything.
Exactly.
Like, bippity boppity, and he has powers, but it doesn't really matter for the story.
It's interesting in the end, in the back matter. You guys, there's an interview. I love all your books have these interview segments at the end. I love that. I love seeing into
chatty Cathy's.
I love that. So I think you mentioned that the original concept was like Captain Immortality. Was that or Captain Immortal?
Yeah, I was
trying
like
the placeholder name.
Yeah, I was trying to find out a name. That was cheesy. And
you said it was like way darker.
Oh yeah. It's,
that really made me interested.
Well, the original actually, what's in the final scene in Never Ending. The original final scene is in a way kind of the final scene of The Bigger Bang, my other book now.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is where I wanted to get to.
It was something I wanted, but yeah, basically Never Ending is about exploring immortality, not like through centuries like a vampire who lives forever and ever, but just like as a guy, he gets these powers, he's strong, everything, and then his girlfriend, then wife, like they have kids, and he notices she starts getting gray hairs and wrinkles, and he doesn't. It's like, oh my god, and he's like permanently 25, where she's just living a normal life, and then his son lives a normal life.
Yeah, at some point, like he comes home and his son is like, oh, you can tell they're about the same age.
Yeah,
and it's like a weird moment where it's like, like I found myself wondering, like, how would people, when you look in the mirror, you don't see anything different because you live with yourself every day, right? But when you see an old picture, you're like, oh shit, that's weird, right? Yeah. So what the hell would it be like to live that way, where it's like, that's like the elephant in the room, probably nobody talks about.
Right, it's a weird thing to talk about.
Yeah, it was really cool, and there was like so much. I feel like Never Ending was all the things about superheroes nobody ever thinks of, you thought of, or even Adam thought of, and you're like, what about this? What about this? And it was just right there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's fun.
And they're not able to do that with books like Superman because they always have to come back to status quo.
There's always got to be status quo at some point, no matter how much you change it or whatever. I mean, that's why with a lot of those books, it's like, I read Morrison's Batman, and I stopped reading Batman after that because I just want that to be like.
You read like everything of Batman with Morrison.
Yeah, and I just want that to be.
It just got good after he left, though. You missed the Scott Snyder stuff.
Oh yeah, Scott Snyder's.
That's good stuff.
No. Yeah,
well, I don't know. I tried reading it, the Death in the Family series, or the first issue. I don't know what it was that made me recoil, but I could not do it. I read it twice, and I was just like, I don't like this. And it may just have been I was so smitten with more, especially like most of the Batman run is Arcane, but then when you get to the Batman Inc., it was so good. I mean, it was so good I just couldn't believe it on a monthly basis. I'm like, how is this still this good? So
magic.
Yeah, he does know magic.
Also, I should mention Robert Love co-created.
Oh,
he's the artist of this book. Sorry, I just got to mention. He's one of my favorites.
Please, I should have done that.
Did another book called Number 13, but he was key to it because he draws really big, powerful superhero art. So it's kind of like a navel-gazing, kind of like woe is me story, but he draws like a giant superhero
he makes it
epic.
pop.
Yeah, so it's like he really helped the tone
well
too.
said.
That's all.
So now let's talk about.
So
this is the final issue, right?
Yeah, it's issue 4, 4-issue miniseries. I did for IDW.
This one was actually named. Jen gave this book its name. She's like, "Oh, you're a bigger bang."
That's not true. What? Yeah,
his wife.
She wouldn't mind that joke if she were.
She won't watch this deep into the episode, I promise.
No, she'll probably watch the whole thing.
Oh wow, she's a good girl.
She's a big fan of you guys.
Oh really?
Yeah. Not me.
My wife. I always wait till 20 minutes into the episode before I start talking shit about my wife.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
actually,
she'll never see this.
Everyone has heard that, and she's probably heard it too.
She's
probably
exactly.
What do you mean you can skip ahead on YouTube? Sarah's like, go to 21 37.
Remember Sixth Sense, where there was that thing like, oh, they'd been slowly poisoning that person for years, and they didn't know.
Is that what's going on?
She's probably like, oh, here's your cornflakes, Mike. Yeah,
it's like, here's your Dr. Pepper candy, Mike.
Exactly.
Oh no.
But I fight it with alcohol. Can I have a beer? Like one of those.
Oh my god.
Oh, that looks good. What is this?
That's Smithix.
Smithix.
Can I tell you a story about Smithix?
Yeah, let's talk about roasted barley. I need a bottle opener for that.
There's one
I saw a gentleman using like his hand. Were you using your hands?
I use my teeth.
Weapon!
Who uses their teeth?
I don't use my teeth.
Don't use your teeth.
I got it. We're good.
That's a nice. Oh, it's a penguin. That's delightful.
My wife loves penguins.
Adorable.
As do I. So Smithix, it's been widespread in the States now for over 10 years, but the first time I had it was the first time I went with two friends, Joe and Tony, to Ireland. And we did Ireland and Scotland, and it's some hotel somewhere, I don't know. Imagine this, I went to Ireland and Scotland, and I was drunk pretty much the whole freaking time. So there's blurs.
So nothing changed, even though you're out of the country.
But I didn't talk comics. Well, maybe I talk comics. I don't know.
There's a lot of comic writers in Scotland. Some pretty good ones.
There is.
Yeah, Garth Ennis, right?
Yeah.
Well, Ireland.
Yeah.
So we're trying a bunch of as many like local beers and like stuff you're never gonna find in the States. So we're at some hotel and it was really nice and wood trim and all this stuff and I see it had a different label then. They just changed it within the last year. It was green. And I said, oh, can I get a Smithwix? And the guy's like, he pours it, and he's like, Smithix. I'm like, what? Smithix. W silent. I'm like, oh,
it's like
crap.
Django.
So then I was able to I came back home, and then it showed up, like, within a year. Guinness started distributing it in the States. And I was like, oh, my God. And it was awesome, because we'd always go to the bar, and people would be like, can I get a Smithwix? And I'd be like, Smithix.
That's right.
Silent. Oh, my God, he knows.
Nice.
Cool.
But it's really, really good. It's
I enjoy it. It's good.
It's
Is
good.
it really good?
Yeah.
What's it remind you of?
Reminds me of Scotland.
Ireland.
Although Ireland somewhere. I've never been to Ireland. No, it's what does it remind me of? It doesn't have a label I can fall back on.
It reminds me of 5.5%
It tastes
alcohol.
like
brewed,
sex with a virgin. Not rape. It's better than rape.
Yes.
Wow, we're just hitting all the high
Everything
notes
is.
today, huh? All right. So, Bigger Bang. Oh,
There you go.
coincidentally.
Why do I
Okay.
start talking about my books after he says these things?
I'm sorry. We're using you as a smokescreen.
I know. What's happening?
I mean, were you worried because there's the Big Bang Theory? Which, how do you feel about the Big Bang Theory?
I haven't
The
really.
show.
I haven't watched it that much.
Good.
It's a show that my mom tells me I would love.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, bazinga! I don't know. Is
Yeah,
that the
it's
thing?
like
I don't know.
every time I work in a comic shop, oh, you must love the Big Bang Theory. I must.
You're like, I have no choice but to love it.
I don't love it.
Everybody loves it, but you.
I know it is the best. I mean, it's the number
highest
one
rated
show.
in the world.
It's first of all, it's geeksploitation. Secondly, I just
Did you just say geeksploitation?
yeah,
He
it's
did.
just
You
like-
bet he did.
He did. You can hashtag that.
Yeah. Hashtag geeksploitation.
I'm just, but it's I don't know. Anyway, we
But
won't-
the comic's unrelated to it.
exactly.
And it wasn't inspired by it. I was just thinking, the concept of the comic is like the Big Bang created all life as we know it here. Even though that's up for debate now. But the Big Bang created all life as we know it. And then the Bigger Bang obliterated all of us and created just this one being who's the star of this book. It's kind of like, can a hero rise from the ashes of such
Of everything.
destruction?
Well, and like my immediate thing, I remember reading about this back in August, and then when I wrote the article, I was just rereading the same stuff that I read back then. I was like, how did I miss this? Because I did miss it. I haven't read it.
You're not the only one.
But I mean, there's just so much stuff. So
I
it's
know.
like that
it's
happens all the
insane.
time.
Absolutely.
But I remember thinking, like, that's amazing because I love this idea where, okay, so the Bigger Bang destroys everything, and then you have somebody. So what is, I mean, that, like,
What do you do? I mean,
what is it like to
If
be the
everything else is
person
gone.
that, like, everything died for you to become you?
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's him now.
That was
He's texting you.
Cosmos.
That's Carol. I am watching.
Yeah,
Past
right.
10 minutes.
She's live
Oh, that's
streaming.
right. We're live
Come
streaming,
home.
aren't we?
No.
Nike.
We don't
crap.
want
It's all
Um,
good.
Well, there's the multiverse thing. So that's how because I was like, that's a cool concept. But then what's he do? Oh, he goes into another universe.
Right.
Oh, phew, all right. There are other characters. But no, it's and I do it with an artist named Vasilis Gogsilis, and he's this amazing.
Wait, what's his name? Vasilis Coxilis?
I pronounce it Vasilis Gogsilis.
I don't know. Just call him Smithic.
You pronounce the W with his name.
Okay. Can I see that so I can just read?
Yeah. No, we got like DJ Kirkbride and then Vasilis Gogsilis. The letter is Frank Svetkovic. And then Justin Eisinger's the editor. So we have our
So
names
you
are more
pick your
interesting.
collaborator. Like, I can't say your name. So we work
Collaborators?
together.
Yep. Our names are weirder than the aliens' names in the
That
book.
is, yeah.
But I'm probably mispronouncing Vasilis.
I think you should have called the book Coxilis.
Well, that's the secret.
Wait, let me see how it's spelled because I might be able to help you with the pronunciation.
I call him.
I think it's
Vass.
2 beers back is when I could say that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. No, it's just he approached me and Adam and myself actually.
That's
Really?
an epic name.
Yeah,
Yeah, it truly is.
and he's from Greece. Yeah, he's
So how did he approach
Because
you?
the
Like on the
Russian
internet?
version of that name is Vasily.
That's what I know. Somebody mentioned that. I'm like, I've
What
been
is
saying
it?
it wrong. It's Vasily probably. But
Yeah.
I'm like from Appalachia. I'm like Vasilis Gogsilis. Hey, let's make a comic. That's me, and he has to deal with it. And actually, we just email actually. So
Have
I've
you ever
never
talked to him on the phone?
I haven't. So one day he's gonna mispronounce my name. I'll mispronounce his, and we'll laugh. But
That'd be good.
he sent a drawing of just a giant muscle man in space and said I want to do a superhero book in space. And Adam was working on Amelia and his other book, Artful Daggers, and like writing a novel, and he's too busy. And I was like, I'll try it myself. And what's interesting though is I'm not very well versed in giant cosmic stories, but Adam is.
Mm-hmm.
So as it was developing, the more he saw it, he's like, oh man, this is like in my wheelhouse. I'm like, yeah, it is. Sorry. But no, actually, I'm like, yeah, please help me.
Right.
So even though he didn't co-write it, I got to talk to him. And then Vasilis' imagination is amazing and out of control.
I've never heard this sound effect before. Fazang.
Fazang. That's how it goes. When the laser hits him, it's like Fazang.
Oh, so it's like it happens more than once, huh?
No, I don't know. I'm talking.
So, I want to talk about that. So you write with somebody often, not always.
I was just going to bring this up, too.
Yeah, this is the first time actually I've done I did a couple of like little stories in an anthology called Pop Gun. My first two I wrote, and then after that I teamed up with Adam, and I've been doing that ever since until the Bigger Bang.
Did you know Adam before? Were you guys friends, or?
Yeah, we met. He used to write for Too Much Coffee Man magazine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so we met.
Okay.
Yeah, we met. I used to write humor stories, and I was just like looking at when I first moved to LA. Actually,
Was he out here?
No, he's in New York, but
Okay.
I just found like this article that he wrote about how to speak Klingon or something in an old issue. I thought it was really funny, and then I emailed him, and then I mentioned it, and he's like, "Oh, if you think I'm funny, we should write together." And then that's what happened, and I never really co-written before, and I haven't done it with anybody else. Like he's.
Had you written other stuff though before, like before you worked with him?
Oh yeah. I worked for on a magazine called Taste Like Chicken. It was a humor magazine, so it's kind of in the vein. So then I was looking for more humor magazines, and that's how I found Too Much Coffee Man. And so we started doing that and doing like just essays and stories and prose and stuff. But we're both really into comics. So when Pop Gun came along, I kind of invited him along.
That was the anthology for was it Image?
Yeah.
Image, yeah,
Okay.
big fat one.
Yeah. I was like I started off as an assistant and then it moved up and Adam worked with me and then and we started co-writing and I really like co-writing with him. I don't know if I could do it with anybody else though. We've got a really good shorthand going.
That's what I was gonna say. It's really hard. Like, I mean, even working just with an artist and ideas and stuff, and
yeah,
I mean, you got to put your ego in the back seat.
Not me. I just go, I'm right.
So you get your way.
No, he's way.
I feel like sometimes when you collaborate, nobody gets their way. Like when you co-write, you know.
Well, that's kind of it. I don't think it's nobody. I think we both do. We both like just kind of become some like strange monster. That like this like the what is that, the Superman Batman
the composite man?
We become a composite writer, and we kind of fill in each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like he's much smarter than me and I'm more emotional than him, so a lot of it'll be like, it should be like this because I want it to be, and then he'll think about it and go, oh, because of this and this. I'm like, that's right. I'm smart. Or he'll explain to me.
Smart.
I'll explain to me why I'm wrong, and so it becomes something that it wouldn't have been.
Right.
And it happens with artists too. I mean, very much like the Bigger Bang is Vasilis, like the way he interpreted the writing and we worked together. I mean, I don't know. If I'd had this idea and done it with another artist, it would have been a 100% different book. Like, so I love comics,
But he wanted to draw a superhero in space, so you wrote to what he wanted to do, right?
Yeah, it's like, and then I thought for some reason the Bigger Bang idea came to mind, and part of it was, my editor Justin Eisinger said, "Don't say this because it's really depressing," but like the idea was like, if a mother dies in childbirth and then the child's left in
right,
and there's like guilt that the child doesn't deserve. Bless you, but
it's a good hook. I mean, actually, you should have said that.
Yeah, well, I did just now. But so that's what. So he's basically the main character. His name's Cosmos, and he's like this superhero space god. And but he flies around with like this guilt of his birth, even though he didn't do it, he didn't choose it. And then people fear him because he has like this like cosmic stench of death.
Right.
And so it's like him trying to atone for the sins of his birth. And there's also like a Cthulhu monster and a talking space whale, and
that's awesome.
The most ridiculous purple prose captions I could think of.
Hey.
Yeah.
What's a purple prose caption?
Purple prose is like very, I guess like one of the best examples of somebody that does it really well is Mervyn Peake, who did Gormenghast. But it's like very, I always want to say flowery, but that doesn't really explain it any better than purple. But it's like very descriptive, but in a way that's
right. I think I know what you mean. Like the things it's
almost like poetic
that you write and then you look at later and you cringe.
Science officer Sarah?
I can help you with this. Yeah. In literary criticism, purple prose is prose text that is so extravagant, ornate, or flowery as to break the flow and draw excessive attention to itself.
There you go. That's perfect.
Oh,
you're very aware of the. You're like, okay, he's describing this to a degree that. But I mean, some people do it. Mervyn Peake does it really, really well.
I'll go. So it's not. Actually, I rewrote the first issue. It was completely lettered, and there were way too many captions, and we like cut half the words of the book.
Really?
And so maybe it's less purple now. I think maybe a better word would be bombastic.
Okay.
Like when I'm writing it and I read the captions, I read it in this voice, like like Cosmos flies to the stars, and then I laugh, and then it's like, oh, but it's also sad. I don't know.
I would like from now on when the show starts for us to have a sample of you saying that.
Sure.
Flies to the stars. That's amazing.
I want to start a new podcast now called
Drinking
Purple Prose.
with Comics.
Purple Prose, Blue Balls.
Say that again.
Purple Prose, Blue Balls.
Wait, let him say it. Let him say it.
My new show I'm doing.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Purple Prose. No, what is that? That's my Jimmy Pardo impression, right?
Don Pardo, tell them what they've won.
Yeah, like with Nassim Padron. I don't know. I forget what we're doing. What happened?
I think we just.
You've won gonorrhea.
Lost on Jeopardy, baby.
Yeah.
I was on Jeopardy. I was on the
Really?
set of Jeopardy.
Oh well.
I don't know enough to be on Jeopardy. I was on the
And
set.
suddenly I feel like the girl at the bar you're trying to pick up. You're like, look, baby, I was on Jeopardy. Yeah, whatever, creep.
Hey, I had a Dr. Pepper
Well,
roofie. I might be trying to,
I would
pick
mace
myself
you.
up at some
I
point.
should hope not.
Here, I'm going to mace you and then just go over and shake your face over his eyes and maybe some of it will fall out. And
One of
Can you
the
do
t-shirts
that
like,
again?
I got maced on drinking with comics.
T-shirts.
That's our T-shirt. Yeah.
There you go.
Merchandise.
If you like
You're
that
welcome.
idea, let us know.
Any studio audience questions or questions from the internet or complaints from my wife?
Oh.
She's a character. She's like the absent character on the show.
Does she know that she? Yeah.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't watch this far.
Can we do? It looks like there's not. I'm assuming.
Nope.
Can we do? Mike, would you hand me a beer?
Oh, of course. What would
DJ,
you like?
do you need a beer?
No, I'm sipping.
Okay.
I can barely keep
I'll
it
take-
together.
One of these.
As
Did you
is.
say one of these wacky
Actually, can
ones?
I try one of those?
Yeah.
Okay, so
He's strong.
DJ pulled a couple things. Well, first of all, okay, hold on.
Hold on.
Hold
Mike,
up.
Mike, is there? What do you? Would you like to talk about something? Would you like to talk about a particular? Oh, wait! I'm sorry.
Oh, we have a
Question.
question. Okay, let's hear it.
And the Wolverine T-shirt.
All right, just a question for all you guys, actually, if you want to answer it. Talking about the Purple Prose, like I noticed that, like in recent years, a lot of prose has been cut out of comics. Comics are trying to be a lot more, I guess, cinematic.
Yeah.
Do you guys miss having more of that flowery? You know, a lot of those captions. You said yourself that a lot of captions got taken out of that comic. Was it because you were trying to be more like modern comics, or did you feel like it really hindered the story? Having so much, so many captions that it slowed down the pace. What do you guys think about that?
Sometimes I
Good
like.
question.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Great question.
I mean, some books I think it's appropriate, and you want to slow down the pace. Personally, for the Bigger Bang, I just covered up too much of Vass's awesome art, and it was like, just shut up and get out of the way, DJ. He's let these images tell the story, because I mean that's what a lot of it was. I feel like a lot of the prose the captions were saying what you're already looking at.
Right.
And so it's part of it's like working with the art and trusting the reader and the artist. To tell
Well,
the
I mean,
story.
when you're writing it, you're writing without the art, right?
Right.
So it's like once you see the art, then you can be like, well, I don't really need that anymore because I always say with comics, a lot of times I don't see the art because the art just Jack walks into the room and picks up a bottle. The artist does it. You know,
Right.
it's like there's so many books where I'm not even aware what the art looks like because it's just like kind of turns to prose or whatever or stage instructions in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But writing it, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily know. So I mean, it's almost like you're doing that, and then you put it there, and then you subtract it, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually with the Bigger Bang, a lot of it was done. I just wrote like story descriptions, and Invest didn't want me to lay it out. He wanted to have control of that, so it was very different than what I'm used to.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I actually went back, and I think part of it was me like almost feeling like I needed to explain things, and then later everybody going, "You don't." And I'm like, "Oh, you're right. I don't." Like, shut up, DJ. Even with Amelia Cole, like the first few issues, Adam and I overwrote them before we learned how to work with Nick. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced
Yeah, I mean that's
that
the
too, right?
comics I think are in a constant state of evolution, and one of the things, like if you go back and read the comics that you thought were great in the 70s and 80s, this Chris Claremont calling, he's like, you better not diss my
right.
X-Men. I know what you're about to do.
Oh, it's a store phone. Oh.
Let me get it back on track. So comics are evolving, and if you look at those old comics from the 70s and 80s, I mean, yeah, things have changed since then, and one thing that went away for the most part are caption boxes, thought bubbles, thought balloons, and like you said, the writers are learning more to get out of the way of the artists and let the artists, tell the story visually. Also, I think as we quote unquote write for the trade, where you want like 6 issues to form a story arc, comics become much less dense in storytelling, and and that makes a 20-minute toilet read a 5-minute toilet read.
Yeah.
Which is just better, like health-wise. You know what I mean? Like, don't sit on the toilet that long.
You need more fiber.
Yeah.
Well, no, but have you ever like been reading something on the toilet and it's like you're done with your business, and
you're reading.
and you're just kind of sitting in the
Every day.
the aroma of yourself,
Every day.
and it's like, well, I still have 10 more pages to read, and I know if I walk out that door, my kid and my wife are gonna ask me to do shit, so I'm just gonna sit here and finish reading this comic
So you hide in the bathroom. That's fine. That wasn't a criticism.
in my aroma. And it's really good to have a stinky poop, because like if you go in there and your poop doesn't stink, like your wife just thinks you're in there, like just sitting there reading comics, and she's like, oh god, it smells putrid in there. What are you doing?
What are you eating?
Spoilers.
No, never mind. You know,
Spoiled for the rest of the
I
world.
will say another thing though is I really feel like now, as opposed to in the 70s and 80s, like there's something we've always talked about this on the show about how comics kind of matured with us, and we were the first generation or what age group to do that. They trust the reader. Like, you don't need to always have Nick or Wolverine going, I'm the best there is at what I do, because everybody knows. Like, okay, it's one of, like, if you go back and try and read Infinity Gauntlet, I love the story. It's so hard to get through. I have to, if I'm reading a bunch of modern comics and I try to read something like that, there's this weird, like, cognitive dissonance where I can't do it. So I have to ease into it and read some older stuff, you know, and then you can go, okay, because everybody talks like that, and there's always all the, you know, Nick Fury versus S.H.I.E.L.D. I love it, but it's really hard to get in the mindset to read it because Nick Fury's brain is narrating everything, and it's so like, oh my God, we know. Yeah. Jesus, Nick, we know. We know the cigars are going to kill you. We know that Dum Dum is always, you know, argued with you. We know that it's like, no. Now you don't need to do that. Like, yeah, we've been reading. They're writing it for us. We've been reading for 30 years. We know. Good. Just get it out of the way.
Well, it's not just comics, so it's TV too. Like Netflix and binge television watching, serialized storytelling. You know, it's interesting. I've been
everything used to be like an episode.
Yeah, I was rewatching Next Generation, and even though the characters, my wife and I have been rewatching it, and even though they change and grow, it's still like way more self-contained. You know, like where's Worf's son been for like the past 12 episodes? Don't worry about it.
And like some of the storylines, like the best of both worlds or whatever, it was a two-parter. Yeah. That would have been an entire season of a show.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been like, you know, Picard's a Borg now? What? And
13 episodes.
Yeah. That's sweet. So, I mean, and you know, so there's that. I think things are, I guess, becoming a lot more, hate to say it, but lightweight in terms of, like, you get a little bit of story spread out over a longer amount of time. But by the same time, it's like, you know, people know our attention spans are shorter. So we don't have time to read like what Kitty Pryde is thinking as she teleports through a wall. You know?
The word you're thinking of that I find appropriate for this is fleet. You want to be fleet.
Yeah.
Want to be fleet?
I don't think that was the word he was looking for.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't know that word. I mean, I know that word in terms of like a fleet of spaceships.
No, the idea of fleet is to keep
fast on your
brevity.
Feet. Airy.
Economic.
That's a good, economic.
You know, there's an economy.
Actually, I have a question for you. Is this the first time you've written for something that's been digital first?
Yeah, actually, Amelia Cole was, and I didn't really read many digital comics. It was kind of my introduction into the world too, and we didn't change. Like some people write for digital, for better or worse, we didn't. We just wrote comics. I mean, luckily, Comixology does this thing where you can zoom into the panels and zoom in. But it was our first digital experience, and like I said, there were pluses and minuses. You know, like one end, I kind of thought what would happen is we'd have these digital issues, and people would read digital comics would read them, or people who wanted serialized storytelling would read them, and then trade waiters would get the trade. But I feel like we just kind of lost the single issue readers, the single issue print readers, and so it's like there's like this whole section of the audience that we kind of lost. So, but we didn't know it at the time. We didn't know that would happen. So it was a learning experience.
The reason I bring it up is because one of the selling points they always told us when print was transitioning to online more for journalism was, well, in print you have a finite amount of space, but on the internet you have all the space in the world. But people soon realized that people don't want to keep scrolling.
Yeah, that's right. There, I was going to say that's the problem.
So do you find that you're writing the same way you would for print that you do for digital, or are you expanding?
A lot of it's not conscious. Although I will say one thing that we did do is the first 6 issues are 22 pages each, and it was like $1.99 digitally, but the 99-cent price point was way better, so we knocked it down to like 12 to 14 pages each for the subsequent storylines. But I feel like we still crammed as much story as we would have like into that. So I guess varying page lengths is the thing that we did. Like with the Bigger Bang, I had a certain set of pages, and that's it, and I had to do it. Whereas Amelia Cole, like oh, this one's going to be 15 pages, and me and Adam are like, no big deal, and then Nick's like, oh, my arm, and like, I'm up all night, and I'm like, yeah, good job, buddy.
Nice.
So, he's a saint. Actually, the best thing about Nick Brokenshire, by the way, when he's a musician, and he's a rock and roller, and when he's like drawing all night, he starts to get a little loopy, and we'll post like videos sometimes on YouTube. Like you can look up.
Is he like playing guitar? Or
He's
something?
playing guitar. He's singing.
Oh, I'm totally looking this up.
Oh, it's amazing.
I like him quite
He's
a
got
bit.
a great voice. And he
Does he
rocks out.
write songs about the book, or is he?
One time I
Right.
said,
DJ.
yes, essentially. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, DJ. No, well, actually, one time I said something that he thought I was sad, so he wrote like late one night he posted some song like something like "Cheer up, DJ," and just like zing,
That's
sing.
Why did he think you were sad?
Probably because I'm sad.
Okay.
Super sad.
So he was right.
I'm sad. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I don't know why I said that.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no, it's fun.
Nick Brokenshire, the artist on Amelia Cole, has a online comic called Day of the Dog. That's really cool, and he posts. I don't know how often because I just found it, and it's either 16 or 22 pages up until now, and I don't know how often he posts. I'm going to learn that because now I'm following it, but it's cool. I like it quite a bit. So it's some Day of the Dog. I think it's just dayofthedog.com.
Is it about a dog or?
It's about so much.
It doesn't start out that way, but yeah, there's this great scene where it's like these two people and the dog talks, but they're like, "What did you say? No, you said it. No, you. Oh wait, it was the dog. It was cool."
Yeah, Nick's awesome.
Wait, I don't know what they're looking at, but I have to say, we
Did we get some email or something? Or?
No, but I just found something out that's kind of incredible.
Okay. What?
Okay, so Twin Peaks, we all know it's coming back, right?
Yeah.
Please tell me it's coming back because there
Yeah.
has been some question of late, and I'm like seriously like,
Don't you dare.
I promise. But what else is starting to shoot this summer?
X-Files.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was just guessing.
doesn't
but-
affect me nearly as much as.
But I just thought it was kind of...
Well, you know what happened is they were, oh, look at all this hullabaloo about Twin Peaks. Maybe it's, and they realized the movie format probably doesn't work because they bomb, so let's
that
try
last
to
one.
do like,
But I know how you feel about Jillian.
well, yeah.
How does it
but
feel about her?
She's hot.
You feel good about it?
With
You
red
know,
hair.
she does get hotter. I thought she was a bit of a beater.
I'm not gonna
When
lie.
the show was on.
I don't want a definition for that.
But
don't want
like now I
definition.
see,
I've
oh my
never heard
god, she just gets hotter and hotter.
I think they've both actually gotten better looking.
She
which
should be
is
called Agent
ridiculous.
Smolders. 'Cause she's smoldering.
Oh.
I've never had, like X-Files, I missed the first 2 seasons and everybody talked about it, so I remember watching, I was like, okay, let me see. And I was like, oh, it's the guy that played the transvestite on Twin Peaks
Oh, yeah.
for like 3 episodes.
The company?
Yeah, he's on Twin Peaks as but so the first episode I watched was about cheerleaders with magic powers, and I was like, I'm not seeing what other people are seeing. I forget what the second one was, and I was like, I'm so not seeing what. Okay, done. But then, like a couple years later, late '90s, I saw some of the what do they call them, the mythology episodes,
yeah.
and I was like, why aren't they doing this all the time?
Well, that's part of like the evolution of TV. That's like what they do now. Like now, like the 10-episode series.
Yeah,
they're gonna bring back, It's going to
exactly.
be like probably one story. All
Exactly.
mythology.
And I
Which
mean,
benefits that type of show.
those mythology, like the black oil, and there was it looks like Ramstein.
Is that where they do
walking
like
around.
a compilation of all the little clues they've laid through the season or something?
Yeah, well, yeah. There'll be some episodes that just like focus on the ongoing story, and then other ones are like self-contained.
Yeah.
which
What
TV
was the
does less
creature of the
now.
week
Yeah.
versus long form? Which
Yeah.
I'm always. You're very like one and done. I'm always long form. I want continuity. I want to see
It's
something.
my favorite show. That was long form.
That
What
was that was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, one and done. It depends on the girl,
Fair enough.
Some girls you want to spend 4 seasons with,
What were we were going to talk about before we started shooting? We were going to
The
talk.
inclusive era.
No. Well, we were going to talk about Batgirl and some controversy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anything.
There's a
about
controversy.
Good
this. So what's the
boy.
controversy?
Big one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one.
what's the
Well, so there's Batgirl didn't relaunch. Actually, they kept the numbering. So like Batgirl number 35 by Cameron Stewart and Babs Tarr was a new direction for the book.
Cameron Stewart, you're awesome. Not that you're watching, but you're awesome if you see this subsequently. So this is not. I always get mixed up here. My friend Maddie let me read. J.H. Williams III did Batgirl or Batwoman.
Batwoman.
Okay. I can never keep the two apart. Okay. So
Yeah,
I'm not-
lesbian Bat.
now
Batwoman.
is this okay? Go ahead.
That's an
So
awesome
Batgirl
comic,
is
too.
Barbara
It is
Gordon.
amazing.
It's really good.
And when they brought Batgirl back, 4 years ago in New 52, she could walk again, whereas, she was in
Well,
pre-New 52 was
If
shot
you don't
by
know
the Joker
the
and killing
history,
Joe.
Alan Moore famously in like 1980
6 or 87, yeah.
did a
86, I think.
one-shot graphic novel called The Killing Joke, where the Joker shoots Barbara Gordon, obviously Commissioner Gordon's daughter, in the spine, right, and cripples her.
Yeah.
And she
does
had been in a
unspeakable things
wheelchair
to Commissioner Gordon
ever
too.
since. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dark book.
Yeah, it is a dark book.
I read it when I was too young to read it. I don't think I got how dark it was.
I've never read the whole thing, and I haven't.
It's like 40 pages long.
But it's
40
rough.
Yeah, but
It's
well,
rough.
it's a long story. But
Okay.
It's well drawn.
Do you own it? Do you have it?
no, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Supposedly he rapes her too.
Possibly.
No, he takes pictures.
Yeah, he takes
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
I
That's
mean,
right.
really-
Pictures and leaves them for Gordon.
That's
I
right.
read The Killing Joke like not that long ago, and I know I didn't get any. I mean, I know he took pictures, but I didn't get any rape.
A lot of people infer it. I don't think it explicitly says.
Yeah.
When
I thought he
read it.
raped Commissioner Gordon.
He does. do
Seriously.
that. I think he does.
Well, that
Yeah.
would be funnier, I guess, at least for
No, I
the
mean, it's-
Joker. He'd be
it's
like, "Well, what's
really-
funnier?"
It's a dark book, but yeah. So the cover.
He put the PD in GCPD.
But then the new Batgirl story. The new Batgirl comics are like super like fun and like pro like
Lot of rolling.
female empowerment and
Yes,
everything.
and
Yeah.
it's fun and it's bright and it's like kind of like a safe place. Like so many comics featuring female characters, Vampirella, Grim Fairy Tales, the entire line.
They're TNA books.
They're TNA books,
I mean,
and
that's
then
what
you
they
have the Marvel stuff, which I love the Milo Manara Spider-Woman cover, but there's it's very
The new drinking game is
Every
because
time you mention that.
every
cover-
time Mike
that
mentions Milo
specific cover?
Manara,
That
you need to
specific cover.
drink.
I love Milo Manara, and I understand like
Oh, he's drinking. He did.
there he goes. Yeah, it doesn't take much to get Joe drinking. Every time I start a
We
word
just
with
stole
M,
his
he's like,
goddamn
"Oh shit."
beard. I mean, come on. Sorry. That's
So anyway, now that I see this new era happening, it's like, oh, I get like, okay, why? Because I was like, the Milo Manara thing, I didn't think that it was that big of a deal. I thought, yeah, well, you hire Milo Manara, you're going to get Milo Manara, So
shit.
No.
yeah,
Is that twice? He said. No, sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. I'm out of beer. So anyway, this latest thing.
I don't have any germs.
Okay.
I don't know. I hope
Well,
not.
hold on. This latest thing is that they're doing a month of Joker variants, okay, on all the DC books, and the Batgirl cover referenced the Killing Joke, where he's got a gun, he's like this with her, and he's pointing down like that,
And she's very
she looks
scared.
terrified,
Yeah.
and it's not reflective of what's in the book at all. I mean, inside the book, and this one actually isn't exactly reflective of, although it's not bad. But Babstar art is a lot more fun. It's kind of like Scott Pilgrim in a sense where it's colorful, it's bright, even though Scott Pilgrim is black and white. But
No,
Well, they're
no, but
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would.
and then you have this dark, grim cover with a frightened girl on the front, and it was like there was these people online saying hashtag, remove the cover, and then there were these other people hashtag keep the cover, hashtags everywhere flying around. So the artist
Hash
Raphael
browns.
Albuquerque decided to, that it didn't fit the context of the book and didn't want the cover to be used for the book. And then there was an uproar over that, and then I get people calling me, "Do you have that Batgirl cover that the feminazis wouldn't let be published and stuff like?" So anyway, which isn't I personally agree with not publishing the cover, especially on that book. Maybe somewhere else there's a home for it.
Well, I mean, if it's misleading, I can see the argument. Although, I mean, it
Covers
seems.
are always clickbait.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing, and I mean, I hate to say it, but like, I feel like DC has done a lot of cover clickbait in the last year or two.
But clickbait is different than being totally out of tune with
Well,
what the book is about.
It is, but I mean, if you're doing a Joker variant for every book in DC, is the Joker in every book?
No,
No.
but I would say that a lot of
There you go.
I think it's not necessarily
It's about the
like-
message that you send.
Right. It's not that it's referring specifically to the story, but that it fits the tone of the book.
Okay.
And that cover does not fit the tone of
Right.
the book. And part of it, one of my biggest things, was how scared she looked
Yeah.
when she was crying. And and if you look at this cover that Mike has, she's a badass superhero.
Mhm.
Like, I think she'd be pissed off if the Joker was like on. You know what I mean? Like, she'd probably
Right.
be ready to flip him. You don't want to see your heroine. And if Batman was in that position, I don't think there'd be tears streaming down his face.
Oh, so
Probably
it was like creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
okay.
just,
Okay.
and it was well, I mean, he's a great
not
artist.
to,
but-
I don't blame Raphael Albuquerque
Yeah.
because again, rewind 19 months ago and look at this cover, and we'll zoom in on this, and there was no uproar on this.
But again, it was the tone of the book was very different.
We weren't in the inclusive era yet.
Yeah.
Well, here's the
That's
thing.
what I'm trying to say. Look at this. Let's pass this. I mean, this is the same exact thing, you know.
Yeah.
But the inside of the book was dark too. And this is Gail Simone, and Gail Simone's a great writer.
Yeah, she's
and,
awesome. Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, Batgirl right now, like what they're doing when they come back from Convergence in DC, they're calling it the Batgirling of the DCU. Have you heard about this?
No, but it's funny. We'll get to you in a
Google
second,
that
Sarah.
shit.
Sorry. When we were editing the issue with Alicia Grauso, and she mentions the new costumes for both Batgirl and for Spider-Woman. And it's so funny. You know, when you think of the 90s, comics you think of very, like, when you think of women in comics, it's very, you know, male fantasy, like very tight and buxom and, like, to a degree that's ridiculous, right? So, but you feel like that kind of disappeared, right? It's kind of like, remember when Hollywood was all Schwarzenegger and Stallone, and then Tarantino came in and everything got very, like, intelligent, dialogue heavy, kind of, you know, nuanced, same kind of thing. However, we're putting pictures of Spider-Woman just like a year ago, maybe not even, versus the new costume, and it's like, oh my god, this is so ridiculous, like male fantasy, like the clothes are clearly painted on, and like just enormous breasts, and like just like to the point where when you look at it, it's weird, right? So,
I mean, I still like that stuff too, but
it's just so weird to see it juxtaposed now with what's going on, and it's just happened like this, and this is like speaking to your inclusive era theory, like that is alienating, and we don't see it because we've been reading comics for 30 years and we're guys,
and we like circles.
And we like what?
Like if you think about like what you know, I think primally a guy likes is like circles, like. Think about a butt or a boobs. They're circles, you know?
I want someone to auto-tune this episode. It's like you gotta think about a butt.
But it's true. It's a primal thing. Look that shit up. Science officers, it's true.
Is this why I spent so much time playing Pac-Man when I was like 5?
Because you like circles. Yeah.
Is that creepy now?
Pac-Man
I feel like that's
uncovered.
Creepier than it used to be.
It's true. But it's just interesting to see it juxtaposed because it's literally seems like it happened overnight where they just got it and they're like, you know, I feel like we're all going to be better for it because it's like guys, and so now this is going.
That was like 3 years ago.
So this is where I wanted. No, seriously, like I kind of intruded on an exchange you had on Twitter yesterday or the day before. Where
someone mentioned
said,
it.
"Oh, you should so be a part of a conversation about women in comics," and you should because, like, Amelia is so. What's the word? Like, the word that comes to mind that's wrong, wholesome, that's just not the right
inclusive.
word. I guess.
Inclusive,
I mean...
that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't even wear a costume.
She's a girl.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, like, I love the fact that, so, I don't want to do spoilers, but at some point she has to wear a cloak because it's kind of like part of what she has to do. And she's like, yeah, this is like retarded.
Let me break this down for you, though, okay?
Okay.
Spider-Gwen, in terms of, I think that you'll certainly get, and I think I might have talked about this before, but Spider-Gwen is Nirvana, okay? Amelia Cole is Jane's Addiction. Nirvana didn't reinvent
Don't do that because I'm not a Jane's Addiction.
I know,
fan,
but pre 91.
Right. They were Pixies. Let's go Pixies.
All right, let's go Pixies.
I like that.
I like this. Amelia Cole Pixies, cool.
All right, so yeah, I mean, it's not to say that there weren't things before Spider-Gwen.
Right.
But Spider-Gwen was that sort of moment where the world turned on its axis.
Well said, sir.
And hopefully, like, a light will be shown on things that came before, right? And hopefully you'll still know me and buy me beers.
Forever.
But no, I think that, yeah, I mean, there's been stuff like this all along. Mm-hmm. It was always considered risky and not commercially viable. Now it's like, you know, I had a meeting on Friday with this guy who's like, you know, nice guy, but he's got this property and the studio wants him to make the girl a more powerful character. He's like, well, you know, she's a spy, like she kicks ass, you know, like what do you mean she's not powerful?
Wait, is this like Black Widow?
No, this isn't. No, it's something that's way
it's like an indie book, right? Yeah.
Oh, it's a movie thing.
Yeah,
so anyway, so I was like, and he's like, she's based on my sister. My sister's a badass. I was like, okay, but yeah, you know, yeah, you like the fact that your sister. Because his sister was a like CIA or whatever. I said, you like the fact she's badass. She goes to Russia and does it. But like, ask your sister what problems she deals with, you know, relationships or whatever. And I talk shit about my wife, but I love her. Like when I take Carol to go see a superhero movie, the things that she responds to are different from the things that I respond to in like the I'm sure the Avengers, Age of Ultron. But I appreciate those things are there because it gives her something to respond to.
Right, of course.
You know?
Of course. Well, and I mean, that's, like, there was so much room in comics. Like, I feel like Amelia Cole, there's so much there for so many different kinds of people to latch onto and to get something from. And, I mean, that's the way it should be. So that's, like, the Spider-Woman thing was so weird to me because it's like, no, like, it just seems like a big black box over the character. It's just like you're missing an opportunity because all you're really doing is dialing that character into like one segment of the population.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, it was just that one image, right? Or was the whole...
No, I'm first four issues, no. It was drawn by Greg Land, so
okay.
you can imagine.
Oh, sure. All right.
I'm talking Spider-Woman, I'm talking about like that was, I mean, that's the way she looked.
Yeah.
Since New Avengers started, what, like...
Well, no, since the 70s.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it seemed like it really, like... Because she really kind of came back to a prominence with Bendis using her.
Right.
Like, he brought Luke Cage back, he brought Spider-Woman back. Jessica, what's her...
Jessica Jones?
No, but like Spider-Woman's, is it Jessica Drew?
Yeah. Oh, Jessica Drew, yep.
And again, I mean, Bendis is a smart writer, and he doesn't write, like, dumb broads, you know?
Right.
But then David Finch draws really good circles. So, you know? Seriously, like that, look at, like, you know, I was talking to a comic artist, and I was like, yeah, you know, this might change, but if you want to be successful in comics, if you want to be a known artist, and even Jim Lee is guilty of this, draw circles, you know, draw in the right place.
Yeah,
I mean, I think comics...
It's as easy as that.
Comics is a medium, and it should be, like, you know, inclusive means a little bit of everything.
Oh, yeah,
you know
yeah.
Yeah, so
I think it's getting away from that, but I'm saying, if you think about, like, you know, and again, I love these guys, J. Scott Campbell, Jim Lee, David Finch, that sort of style of artwork, you know.
Mm-hmm. Bombastic, to go back to.
Yeah, I mean, everything was bombastic in those too. Not just like the guys are like insane.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
pouches and guns for
days.
days.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I think we should probably end because I think we're like at an hour. So, for those of us at Drinking with Comics, good night, Godspeed, and read Amelia Cole.
Yes.
Read Never Ending.
Oh, please.
Read The Bigger Bang.
Wonderful.
And DJ says you should read Black Science.
Oh yeah,
Black
awesome
Science
book.
is amazing. So, okay.